It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledging knowledge with no scholarship. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
You heard the man, ladies and gentlemen, setting sail from the USS Rapapa. This is Topic Thunder, your favorite internet saloon, coming to you live from YouTube, from Twitch, from Facebook. I just added my Facebook back on. It's really cool to be the co-host of a podcast and not even stream it on your own damn Facebook page.
Well, we used to have you on, and then somehow it got lost off of the destinations, and we never even realized it until today, I guess. Yeah. So no worries.
Worst things, I guess, have happened in life, right? But anyway, I'm Brooks. That's Ben, if you can't tell by the bottom left there on your screen. And ladies and gentlemen, Topic Thunder is home to the world's most dangerous chat room. The point was right again. I think the other way, right?
That's for
this
the
way.
chat.
That
is for our names. I decided to put our name just in case there was anybody that stumbled across and didn't know who we were. I just wanted to identify that you're Brooks, I'm Ben, and that's
what it is. Yeah. But that is the world's most dangerous chat room. This way. So, Stella, hello everybody at the Thunderdome. That makes the show run. They are the wind in the sails here as we kick the show off. We've got a lot to get to. We're kind of doing some odd things here and there, diving in and out of the headlines. So we'll just kind of wet our whistle here. Mr. Hansen, right back in our Monday night slot.
Yes.
Going head to head with the now Vinceless WWE. So I guess I forgot to send you this, but it's a Fittich, Glenn Fittich 12 year, which was a nice scotch gifted to me. But as I'm downing this, when we all kind of know I'm gonna like it, and it tastes like smoke and charcoal.
Can we just prepare your glass for a second?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the many finds if you enjoy a Comic-Con or two, and you hit up Artist Row, you can find nice, cool glasses like this, which will be in town this week here in Chicago, and I'll have an opportunity to purchase more.
Ooh, there you go. Good job. I enjoyed Comic-Con the one year I was able to go, the Chicago one. It was fun. It was a good time. You don't have one there. They have like a Comic-Con thing here in Lubbock, Texas, but it's not nearly as cool because it's Lubbock, Texas, not Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a worldwide global thing. C2E2 is isn't just like even like a regional thing.
You would say like it's like number 2 behind San Diego, right? As far as like the hierarchy of Comic-Con.
In the States, I'm sure they might do something. I think there's one in South Korea or Japan that is much bigger, but it's more anime skewed. This is literally sprayed, hit to all fields. It's got something. One of the coolest things that you wouldn't think about it. One of the cooler things is just walking around that place is like seeing like the dice vendors. You don't even have to be like a Dungeons and Dragons nerd to be like, whoa, are you serious? That's literally titanium. The dude's like, yeah, hold on. You're like, holy shit. Like you could hurt somebody with these dice. Well etched and cool, like just and on. People making glasses and mugs and steins and of course all of the memorabilia, people in cosplay. It's a ruckus good time if you enjoy, especially people watching. But it'll be opened up full.
People watching, like there literally might not be a better place on the planet to people watch than at a Comic-Con.
It was the last thing Gigi and I did in 2019 before the shutdown was C2E2. And then like the day after, like, oh yeah, we're done. And we're sitting there going, we were just in McCormick Place
with a bunch of people,
thousands of people from everywhere. Yeah. And all right, this is how this starts. And
how you still avoided it.
Again, I personally don't think I did, whether I was asymptomatic or not. Just doing what I do.
You're like Barry Bonds. You never
tested positive. You never got me on that.
We're pretty certain you were dirty.
And I can prove that too. So like we didn't know what was going on, like January, February. We thought it was like the flu season, right? So everybody's in our ERs like everywhere, like more so than usual. 150 people in one ED is a lot of people. And carts lining hallways. Everybody's coughing, hacking, sneezing, dripping, oozing, and nobody's wearing a mask. So that situation was ripe. So there's no way I wasn't exposed and caught it back. I did 6 months later. The organization which I work for did a voluntary antibody blood test just to see if you had antibodies, and I had a trace amount, which pseudo corresponded with a longer prior exposure. But that's neither here nor there.
I'm still going with the narrative that you haven't had it yet.
Absolutely not. Clean bill of health over here. Absolutely. Even though people are going
very fond of COVID, I'm going to start calling it.
I'll take it. I'm going to put that on my Twitter bio. Right next to bastard-filled bastard with bastard voting. Scotch, it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 2.5 because it doesn't have that hearty, peaty, smoky flavor that I really, truly enjoy in a Scotch, but it's still a damn fine beverage, just to let you know. Brooks Bolts. Brooks Bolts.
Brooks Bolts.
Speaking of drinking, this guy's not going to be able to have a drink of anything for about 7 years, as the longest sentence in history of the prosecution of the January 6th little tour happened today. Guy Refit. I think we actually talked about this guy. He was the guy that like brought a holstered pistol into the Capitol building and then threatened his two children if they reported him, which one actually did. This is how he got popped. One of his children caught, like, literally narked on him.
I do believe that I think we did talk about this jackwagon.
This jackwagon. Guy Refit, 49, was found guilty in March. 5 felony counts, including obstruction of an official proceeding and interfering with the police in a riot. His sentence, the longest imposed in history of any of the Capitol rioters. Nearly 900 people have been charged in the January 6th, 21 raid on Congress. Oh, they call it a raid. That's interesting. It's an interesting bit of word.
Interesting wording, yes.
That's just what it was, right? As we're finding out more and more from
the most accurate way to describe it.
This was way too organized to even just be like a riot, right? Because yet riots have like a spontaneous type of feel to it.
Exactly. When you talk about those guys that were holding each other's shoulders as they were marching up the steps, that's a raid.
Coordinated with encrypted communications devices. I've been talking like serious, like special forces radio stuff. Like it was well coordinated, and we're finding it out. The Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the First Amendment Praetorian, and a handful of others. But what
I find fascinating is these next couple of paragraphs here. That this asswipe didn't actually go inside the Capitol.
He was on Capitol grounds, right?
Sprayed instead.
Yeah. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Sprayed that day, but now he gets to spend 87 months in prison.
Right, from the kids that like want nothing to do with them now because they're like, well, Dad's a mega asshole, and we're gonna have 7 years to think about it too. Like, this is just the first. I think we might see double-digit sentencing for some of the higher level folks on this. But if you've been paying attention to the way the January 6th committee has been spelling this out at a 6th grade level for people, they're all speaking very slowly, making sure not to use too many big words, but when they do, they enunciate them very carefully. Right. They sound like school teachers trying to teach you like U.S. history, which that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
In the form of prosecuting literally on live TV without actually being a prosecutorial body. This case, right? Fascinating. And I just wanted to kick the show up with a little bit of like, at least they got somebody. Now do the rest. Do the big ones, right?
Yeah, right. There's a couple. There may be 900 people that have been charged, but there's like 906. But there's 6 more that probably should be. Yeah. His wife and daughter still support him, by the way. His sons do not. But
That's a special pair right there, too, right? That just goes to show that they believed it, that this guy, what did this guy say? According to papers, he had fellow members of the militia that he planned to drag the U.S. Representative Speaker Nancy Pelosi out of the Capitol building by her ankles, quote, with her head hitting every step on the way down, end quote. To his, oh man, to his son. This is his son on trial. He said, if you turn me in, you're a traitor, and traitors get shot. That's what he told his son.
Imagine he believed that.
Imagine this even be, I was wrapped up in the moment. That's a hell of a moment there, guy.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a moment there to threaten to shoot your own child for basically a different political view and of what you thought was a necessary function of your duty as a patriot to storm the Capitol.
You said,
but hey, let's move on to even cooler things, right? Speaking of shoddy government and would-be dictators, have you heard what's happening in Florida, Ben?
this is a disaster, an absolute disaster waiting to happen. It may not happen right away, but someone with bad intentions is going to get access to school children to do something one way or another. I don't know what it is, whether it is another mass shooting, whether it's sexual deviance, whatever you want to say, all the different things. When you loosen up the standards for teachers and who you're allowing to have access to children in school, you're asking for trouble, and that is exactly what Florida is doing.
They're going to teach everything, Mr. Hansen. They're going to literally, you're going to be asking, this is a quote, temporary teaching certificate to veterans who have not yet earned their bachelor's degree. The department is proud to provide a 5-year temporary certificate through the Military Veterans Certification Pathway. I don't know. Maybe not having military people teach grade school is a good idea, but this is the dumbing down of Florida too. Even worse, because Aunt Chris floated the story to me, and she was saying some of her teacher friends that went to lived in Florida were like, I'll just get like a teaching job. But they're offering minimum wage to well-educated, credentialed veterans of the business. Minimum wage. So yeah, when you take away that, and so who's taking that job? Like, there are good doctors and bad doctors, right? Not every doctor graduates at the top of their class, right? But do you feel comfortable having an operation with the one that graduated dead last in their class?
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. It's like it's one of those things that they're using veterans as almost like a shield, because it's like, well, you can't argue against this because if you are, you're just arguing. What do you think? Veterans aren't capable of teaching children? It's like, no, they're not, for the most part, because it's not something that you can just do. Like you have to be educated to be an educator. If that makes sense. Like there's a certain kind of education that you need to have. There's certain skills you need to learn to how to be a teacher and control students and deal with students in different situations and different backgrounds. There's a lot that goes into it. And so to just say that just because they served in the military that they deserve an exemption to fill the roles of teachers in lieu of just paying teachers a fair enough wage, where people that have the educations and the want to teach children will go there and take the job because it pays enough to have them have a living, earn a living. That's what we need to do. We need to pay teachers a real salary and not try to skimp. That's what they're doing here. And that's not even taking into account the fact that most military veterans, most have mental health issues, PTSD from what they have seen and done in the military. This is a documented thing that we've talked about a ton of times. It's something that whether they want to believe they have it or they deal with it or not, almost everybody that serves in the military has some sort of PTSD and some sort of mental illness that comes with having served. That's just a fucking, I feel like a fact of life. Maybe I'm out of line there, but it feels to me like there is a rash of military veterans with mental health issues directly stemming from their service. I mean, they kill themselves at an alarming rate. So,
Well, yeah, and everybody's right, and to be worried about that and what's going to happen when a grade schooler shouts out, or what happens when there's a armed intruder and there's gunshots. It might not be the heroic thing that this former veteran like jumps into the fray and like pow pow, guy's dead. What if they just flat out just freak out, blank out? What a great point made by an anonymous teacher who got 150,000 views on her TikTok. Her name's Millennial Miss Frizzle, and she used to teach at a Florida public school near a large military base. And she described the logic of the new policy as dystopian. She, quote, "We know about the school to prison pipeline," end quote. And the article explains the school to prison pipeline refers to a pattern of youth being pushed out of the school through exclusionary discipline and swept into the criminal justice system. Florida schools refer students to law enforcement 30% more often than the national average, according to ACLU of Florida. I don't know. Is Rick Scott, senator of Florida, he who had to pay like $1.5 billion to settle a pharmaceutical suit, does he have connections with the prison complex?
Yeah, probably.
DeSantis?
I wouldn't. Would it surprise anyone to find out that they did?
It's pretty devious. That's insidious right there, to be honest with you. If in fact that's part of what they're considering and doing this for, is to just increase the level of discipline to the point that can kick kids out of school faster and put them into prisons. That's awful. That's terrible. Yeah, way to go, Florida. You're number one. I'm boycotting Florida. I know people go on vacations. I know people go to Disney, and Miami's a nice place, and Fort Lauderdale is a nice. I don't have to spend a goddamn dime there, and I won't. Honestly, I really won't. I'll avoid it. I'll avoid it like I will avoid Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. Absolutely never again. I don't care. I don't care. 6-hour layover to avoid it. Don't care. Don't care. Wait, I got to spend half a day at Myrtle Beach. The wrong half of the day at Myrtle Beach. Don't care.
I don't care.
Don't care.
You just got a grudge against that airport, huh?
I won't. I've never missed a flight before in my life. And I wore that badge with honor until that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. They're doing everything they can to avoid the obvious, which is just pay teachers. When are we going to get to that point where, as a society, we all just succumb to the idea that our tax dollars, more of our tax dollars, need to go to paying teachers? We are grossly understaffed as a nation when it comes to teachers. I just posted on my Facebook today a graphic that how many teacher openings there were in different independent school districts around the state of Texas. And it's over. It's probably, want to say 4,000 teaching openings.
Yeah, each one was almost close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you added them all up, it's probably 4,000 to 5,000 open vacancies for teachers in the state of Texas. No one wants to do the job anymore. We have made it so undesirable. But also, Brooks, this is also part of the plan. We talked about this before. The extreme fundamentalist right, the extreme fundamentalist Christians, they are banking on there being a shortage of teachers and there being standards being lowered so that they can have their fundamentalist Christian teachers go in and fill those openings and start fucking indoctrinating their children, our children collectively. And it's so funny that they're doing it under the guise of teachers now are indoctrinating children with their leftist ideas. But goddamn well, they want to infiltrate and indoctrinate children to the Christian faith. 100% that is the motive. But they don't see it that way. They see themselves because it's not indoctrination if you feel like you're right. That's the way they look like. That's the way they look at it. But it's the same bullshit, man. And I don't know when we're as a society gonna wake the fuck up and realize that we have to invest in teachers. We have to, or we are going to fall even further behind. If we just talk to a handful of people that you don't know tomorrow, and just talk to them for 5 minutes about anything, and you're going to say to yourself, our education system sucks. Because people don't know what they don't know. And it's astonishing what people don't know and don't understand.
And they get congratulated with that, with graduation ceremonies, and told that, like, well, you know it all now, like, without the acknowledgement, like, nobody ever sits them down. I'll sit down and say, listen, it's impossible to know everything. It just is. And you never will. Things will always change. Nothing's ever going to be forever and concrete. I know that science teaches that, but not like not hardcore enough. And I think what we're experiencing right now, and as idiocracy is, as Ryan pointed out earlier, is the result of the de-investment in education, probably over the last 40 years since Reagan, when money was clearly being pulled out. Guess who's voting, and guess who's going for tours of the Capitol building on January 6th, right? The people who grew up in our kind of age cohort. I think they're having kids. Mm-hmm. They're making decisions about important things, non-important things, but like these are the people we're talking about. Take a look at the age. Every time you see some of those people from any of the videos or pictures, they're all in that like 25 to 50 area, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. So in Florida, this is also part of the deal. They were having, because the teachers are state employees, fill out those questionnaires about their political beliefs.
Right.
So there's
it's also the same state where they're not allowing gay teachers to have photos of them with their partners on their desks. Same. Oh. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. The Colbert thing, he explained that they weren't even in a congressional building. It wasn't an actual congressional building that they were in. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of taking a headline and running with it without the explanation. But I'm sure Ben can find the explanation of that. It's a very short 1 or 2 minute thing.
No, I didn't. I've never even heard of this. So.
Oh yeah. So I believe they were filming something there. I think they were there for official reasons. Like they certainly weren't there like storming the castle, Mr. Net. But thanks, of course, for coming in with the other opinion. We're always happy to address other opinions as long as everybody's willing to accept, the truth.
Okay. I see here members of Colbert's Late Show charged with unlawful entry in U.S. Capitol. So there's a
Capitol, please.
Let's see here. Hold on. There's a news story. So let's see what they have to say. It's only a minute or so long. Just a second here.
Said CBS responding tonight after members of a Stephen Colbert team are arrested in Washington, D.C. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Harvey, and we learned late tonight that 7 people were detained and could face more charges. The crew was taping a segment with Burbank Congressman Adam Schiff in the Longworth House Office building. And after the shoot, Fox News reported the crew then visited the offices of some of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, including Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Representatives Jim Jordan and Lauren Boebert. According to Capitol Police, someone called to report a disturbance. Capitol Police issued this statement. Responding officers observed 7 individuals, unescorted and without congressional ID, in a 6th-floor hallway. The building was closed to visitors, and these individuals were determined to be a part of a group that had been directed by the USCP to leave the building earlier in the day. They were charged with unlawful entry. This is an active criminal investigation and may result in additional criminal charges. But CBS and The Colbert Show say they were cleared to be in the building and issued this statement. Their interviews at the Capitol were authorized and prearranged through congressional aides of the members interviewed. After leaving the members' offices on their last interview of the day, the production team stayed to film stand-ups and other final comedy elements in the halls when they were detained by Capitol Police. While Colbert has been providing live coverage of the January 6th committee hearings, Colbert is produced and distributed by CBS.
Okay, this is the first I've heard of it, so you're going to get my initial reaction. If they were there unlawfully, they are just as stupid and should be treated the same. But it sounds to me like they believe that they were there lawfully and were given permission. If they weren't, then they were just as dumb as the other ones. Like, and that doesn't make you right for once, Justin. That's just the facts of how life works. Like, if you break the law, you should be treated. You should be punished for breaking the law. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I think you were looking for like some sort of gotcha here. Like, oh, there's a hypocrisy. No, there's no hypocrisy here. If they were unlawfully in the Capitol, they should be punished the same as these other assholes. I don't see any difference.
If they have footage of themselves with congressional people and congressional aides, congresspersons, that's not guerrilla footage, right? The security would have been called well in advance of them. Basically, what they called probably B-roll, right? We're gonna get a shot of the comic, the dog, like kind of walking the halls of Congress, like yeah. And I can get where this would be a miscommunication. I don't think they get into the building without having been vetted, especially with recording equipment, to be honest with you. But yeah, man, if you cross the line, you should get popped. Like there's, you're not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be there. You can't just walk into a courthouse. You're like, oh, no. I just want to, I'm riveted by that judge's speech pattern. I can't wait to hear more. Like they'll go, get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. Right. So yes, they're going to arrest you for unlawful entry. Well, all that means is they're just going to escort you out. They're not going to prosecute you. Right. They're going to arrest you, which again, just means forcibly detain you behind your back, escort you out, say, okay, we'll write a report.
You rapscallions.
Yeah. That's all that means. And if you're trying to make a parallel to what was going on January 6th, my friend, that was a bad attempt. Please try again. You have unlimited number of credits in this video game. You can keep trying. I welcome the attempts, but please understand that was a really poor attempt at trying to be like, see, it's not the same thing, man. Those people there on January 6th were there to stop the peaceful transition of power from one president to the other.
They were there to literally hang. Some of them were there to hang the vice president on the steps of fucking Congress. The other set of guys were from the Colbert Show, shooting some dick and fart jokes.
Yeah, a bit. They were filming bits with big foreheaded M Schiff, right? Yeah.
What are you talking about? Let's talk about Jon Stewart.
Let's talk about, because we were talking about the military thing a little bit, and there was like a little bit of a segue there from the military complex thing, right? And just how much these Republicans or pseudo Republicans, I don't know what they call themselves anymore, because whatever the Republican Party once was, especially like my day, it has certainly strayed far from those ideals and that mark. And if you didn't know, Jon Stewart's big on supporting legislation to help the not only veterans, specifically in this instance, the ones that suffered catastrophic injuries and health issues because of burn pits, but also very active in the 9/11 first responders, getting legislation passed for their health care, their continued health care, and has no problems calling out politicians to their face. including like Mitch McConnell. Famously, Mitch McConnell like kind of stare down between the two of them. So here he is having just celebrated passing legislation. No, this is where this is the knuckle bump. All right, the Republicans killed the bill, the legislation to support the veterans' health care for the burn pits. And this is where you can look at the footage. There are Republican members of Congress fist bumping after they killed the bill, basically. I think I can't remember the names right now. I don't know if Ron Johnson was in there, but Ted Cruz. I'm not sure if Jim Jordan was, but like, they're the ones that are trotting out veterans as a ploy to get you to feel a certain way about America and their patriotic message, and at the same time go ahead and deny these veterans the health care that they absolutely deserve on the other hand, right?
I think it's worth playing. There's a 3-minute, 30-second video that Jon Stewart put out that's edited that shows Ted Cruz saying some things, and it shows the video of the fist bump, and he very, very much explains exactly what's going on here and why what those assholes are saying is completely full of shit. And he calls them out on it. It's really good.
Stand by for some leftist propaganda.
He's actually quite funny. Look, he's talking about the PACT Act, which is a bill I support. It's a bill most senators support.
Oh, hello. I'm Jon Stewart. Apparently. Quite funny. And I'm awfully interested in what Theodore Cruz is about to say about the PACT Act. Go on.
But what the dispute is about is the Democrats played a budgetary trick, which is they took $400 billion in discretionary spending and they shifted it to mandatory.
One thing, what Ted Cruz is describing is inaccurate, not true. Bullshit! This is no trick. Everything in the government is either mandatory or discretionary spending, depending on which bucket they feel like putting it in. The whole place is basically a fucking shell game. And he's pretending that this is some new thing that the Democrats pulled out, stuck into the bill, and snuck it past one Ted Cruz. Now, I'm not a big city, Harvard-educated lawyer, but I can read. It's always been mandatory spending so that the government can't just cut off their funding at any point. No trick, no gimmick, been there the whole fucking time.
And so it's just part of the out-of-control spending from the left.
They want to buy Hunter Biden cocaine, a crack cocaine, and they want to purchase all your pronouns. Be careful. They're coming for your pronouns. It's nonsense. There is nothing in the bill that is not related to veterans spending. And don't take my word for it. An asshole on an iPhone. Read it. It's at congress.gov. This is for veterans who suffered health effects from being exposed to burn pits and other toxins. That is it.
What the Republicans got made clear is if we leave that spending as discretionary, don't play the budgetary trick, the bill will pass with 80 or 90 votes.
I don't know how many other ways to say this, but there was no budgetary trick and it was always mandatory. And when they voted in the Senate on June 16th, they actually got 84 votes. And you know who voted for that? Ted fucking Cruz and every other one of those Republicans that switched their votes. There was no reason for them to switch the votes. The bill that passed the Senate 84-14 on June 16th has not had one word added to it by Democrats or spending fairies or anybody else. It's the same fucking bill. This is bullshit.
I didn't see what Stewart said, so I don't know.
Do you
what
think
it was.
people
So
say
I got to get on
he
the
could
plane.
run?
A plane? I wonder where that's going. Perhaps. I leave you with a quick montage of Ted Cruz praising to the heavens our nation's fighting men and women, juxtaposed with him fist bumping his Senate colleagues after removing those same veterans' benefits and health care for toxic wounds.
To our veterans, we say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mr. Cruz, no.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker. That's exactly right. Is the only way to describe that piece of shit. What a piece of fucking shit Ted Cruz is. God, what a piece. How did he get elected to office?
Because he's a bootlicking piece of shit, willing to accept money and foreign influence as long as he gets a cushy life, a set up for the whatever the motivations are, right? Power, all of it, all the prestige, the ego trip, just whatever it took, basically, for somebody to find out.
He is an obstructionist no matter what. That is what his job is. He was given all of his job when he took all of those donations from all those people you're talking about. It was with the purpose of you are going to go in and you are going to make sure that nothing gets passed if we don't tell you to pass it. And this is the most egregious because like how do you vote against this over mandatory versus discretionary? Like,
So,
of course, it should be mandatory.
Some context, a more context about this particular vote, right? Because this was apparently in retaliation for the overnight, very, very secretly negotiated Schumer Manchin deal about the environment. Like that was literally negotiated, and people were like, "Wait, what?" Like not even Mitch McConnell knew that was happening. So for that to have happened, so this is literally petty revenge. That's the most egregious part, is that this is petty revenge. They're going to vote again about it, I guess next week. And some senators said it'll pass, but they literally have said, yeah, we voted that down because we were angry that you achieved a deal on climate care for the planet. Which there's a great story that we're going to get to, and maybe why we should maybe pay more attention to the climate and the environment.
Revealing some of the secret sauce here, by the way.
Oh, what's that? Yes, absolutely. But yeah, here I was all over the YouTube thing, the Yahoo thing. For some reason today, I was all over the Yahoo. This leads in a whole bunch of different directions, but global analysts are now saying that there will be a staggering growth in solar. Almost a 30% growth in the United States is already at 28% usage for solar energy, which is not a bad thing, right? And who doesn't like free energy? Just flat out. Why? It's the messaging, right?
A lot of people don't like free energy.
It's the messaging.
You'd be surprised how many people don't like free energy because you're right. The messaging, because they don't understand. They don't understand.
It's easier to put on the other side of it. It's easier to push the negatives about it. Oh, it's the upfront cost. You'll never make your money back. It's it's going to cost jobs. What if there's clouds? What if it snows? The sun's still there, man. So it's a pure messaging thing, right? Like you could sit down, you could sit down and show somebody a simple arithmetic of here's how it's going to pay for itself. Yes, it's an investment, but that's what it is. And you don't make money on investments right away unless you're really, really good or you've got a lot of money and you can short stocks. But then you have to explain that to somebody, right? And we're trying to keep this simple. It's like saying here's your 5-year energy bill, right? Here's what it's going to take to install solar and a savings over that 5 years. Here's 5 to 7 years is generally what I read is like where you kind of meet the middle of the road where you start to kind of get your money's worth.
Sure.
Where it becomes free. That's if you're going to live somewhere for 30 years, that's a sound investment. It's just the whole messaging part, right? They have a great graph. This would I do the Yahoo thing.
Another thing about it, Brooks, and this is also goes to EVs, is that there is a lot of misinformation that has been spread via social media, particularly right-wing social media, that just is full of misinformation. And the type of misinformation it is where it assumes that the technology that is available right now in solar and EV technology, what is available right now is all that will ever be available. Like the technology will never advance beyond what it is right now, right? And they also assume that these companies, and this is particularly in the EV thing too, that these billion-dollar automakers who have spent collectively billions of dollars in research and development of electric vehicles, right? Part of that research and development is to look ahead at possible issues that would hold it back, whether or not it would be it financially makes sense for the company to go this direction. All of those things. They look at all of it, every angle before they make a Ford Motor Company. You can imagine how much money and time was spent on, is this the right move? Is the technology going to be there? Can we invest in the technology to get it there? And what Ford came away with was, not only are we going to go EV, we're going to go 100% EV by 2030. We're completely abandoning, and we're going to make a truck that's completely EV. Oh yeah, and it's already out at market. Now, the early versions of it are probably not going to be the best version, but 5-10 years from now, the technology in EVs and the technology around EVs and solar energy, and I know I'm drifting off into EVs, but I think it's the same conversation.
It is. It's messaging.
It's the technology is going to get better. They're going to figure out all the questions. Like it's baffling to me that people will sit on Facebook and think that they have thought of a problem that Ford Motor Company didn't think of when they decided they were going to go 100% EV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you guy on Facebook figured out, oh, well, when it snows and you get stuck in the middle of the highway, well, your EV might run out of electricity. Well, yeah, your gas engine might run out of gas too. Like, it's equally plausible if you get stuck in a snowstorm in the middle of a fucking highway, that your car may get stuck where it fucking is, no matter what. But they use that as like this is the kind of disaster if we all go EV that we're going to have happen. It's like, no, or that there's not enough charging stations, right? Charging stations are going to be like gas stations. These gas station companies are going to get them if they're. I have to imagine, and I have to look into this, but I guarantee you that these large corporations that own these gas stations
like
are
Shell,
already looking at
ExxonMobil. Oh yeah,
they're going to start removing gas pumps, and they're going to start putting in charging stations, and they're going to charge for the energy just like they charge for the gas. These companies are going to switch because their business is not the gas. Their business is the shit on the inside that they want you to go buy. Right? The gas is just to get you to stop. They want you to go inside and buy shit. That's where the gas stations make their money. So like they're going to realize that more and more people are buying EVs. There are going to be more and more charging stations where you're not going to get stuck, and the technology is going to get better. Ford has already invented a cord that allows you to fully charge your vehicle in 5 minutes or less.
They've got a car that can power your home for like 3 days.
It's
ridiculous. It's the outside of the box uses for the new technology. And to anybody, feel free for anybody to use this at home. For those think that like, yeah, well, the technology it's never going to work. And I'm sure those people are still using a push lawnmower and still playing Atari, right? Because none of that technology ever got better, right? No.
Yeah. And one of the pushbacks on solar panels is, as of right now, and this is a genuine
priorities, GG.
Yes. We don't really know what to do with these panels 30 years down the road when they become irrelevant. They don't generate the way that they did, and they have to be replaced. We have to figure out something. But the good news is we have 25 to 30 years before we really have to figure that out. Because that's when all the people that have installed solar panels now, in about 30 years, there are going to be some panels that will need to be replaced. And then what do you do with those panels that are trash? We got to do something with them because we don't want to just create more trash, right? But I believe that these companies, these solar panel companies, are already thinking about this, and they are developing ways to recycle those parts, do something with it.
If they're smart. Got to be forward looking, right? If they're not seeing the opportunity that's coming, but that would be part of the focus, right? Because you can't play past the buck like a lot of generations have with the petrol economy.
Right.
You just can't just say like they'll figure it out in 20 or 30 years. No, like you should probably figure it out now. Pretty neat chart. I like the one that's a little bit lower. You might have to click the continue button though. They give you a price per kilowatt and how much it's gone down, especially lately. For anybody who says, well, I don't know where it went, there, check that out. Like, it's incredibly cheap to get solar power. So much cheaper than like, yeah, well, when it's so expensive. Yeah, because like, again, you're being told the wrong message. And these solar companies, let's be honest, they don't have the charismatic leaders or marketing groups or cachet to hire companies to go out and lobby for them and market for them. Not yet. It's not that lucrative, especially when they're dealing with the petrol companies, right? We do have to decrease our dependence on oil products, on petroleum products. And it certainly doesn't just start with gasoline. We're going to skip a story, but we have to worry about the ginormous use of oil and petroleum-based products in plastics. We've actually talked about how much plastics and microplastics we ingest, right?
Oh, yeah. Do we have to talk about that again?
We don't have to talk about that. I actually have good news. Good news from the front, because the first 100,000 kilograms of plastic garbage has been removed from that ginormous patch of garbage in the Pacific.
Yeah, remember we talked about it. Yeah.
So this company, they call themselves Ocean Cleanup, which is, as creative as this segment's headlines name. Today, our operation in the Pacific Ocean reached an exciting milestone. The Ocean Cleanup has now officially removed 100,000 kilograms of plastic from the ocean. We're going to do kilograms to LBS really quick here. And 100,000 is probably... That, folks, is...
There's an Instagram video of this guy going through some of the garbage.
220,000 pounds.
At the Ocean Cleanup, we just passed a very exciting milestone. Because our cruise is Great Pacific Garbage Patch just collected their one...
I bet it's echoing.
It is, yeah. But 220,000 pounds of plastic removed. They swept an area of the ocean that's over 3,000 square kilometers. That's comparable to the size of Luxembourg or Rhode Island. Take your pick. The Ocean Cleanup has now collected about 108,526 kilograms of plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Pile, more than the combined weight of 2.5 Boeing 737s, or the dry weight of the space shuttle. There's a lot of problems in the world, right? And I think sometimes, we tend to focus on the bad ones and the ones that tend to drive the negativity, but also get the clicks and up in front of our face in headlines. These people are heroes. They're probably not making a whole lot of money being a long ways away in the middle of effing nowhere. Right. Probably doing some dangerous work because all kinds of weird shit can happen out there. Rogue waves, Kraken, SpaceX rockets falling on the crack. It's out there. It's out there.
You think so?
Yeah, we talk about all the time the horrors of the deep and everything. Like if you took a globe and kind of just saw how big, if you just kind of spun Google Earth to how big the Pacific Ocean really is, and then just point your finger in the middle of it somewhere and be like, that's where Cthulhu is. And there'll be a ginormous earthquake one day and his temple will rise and we're all going to lose our minds.
I hope I'm here for that.
I would like to see that. There's, dying peaceably. No, I want to see Mothra just X-ray beaming the city of Chicago into half. Okay, that's how Brooks went?
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. Yes.
Not some armed intruder at work shooting me up. That's terrible. How sad. Dude got a boulder dropped on him by an alien from another planet with godlike powers, flew around with a ginormous S on his shirt. Wow. All right. Put that on a headstone. I've got a, oh yeah. This is definitely it. So yeah, we've reached that point in the show, ladies and gentlemen, where I like to talk about our eventual extinction from one method or another. Today, we're going to talk about how this robot cheetah taught itself how to sprint in a weird way. Let me repeat that. Robot cheetah taught itself
This
how
could
to run.
almost be a lightning round headline.
It was debatable, but
terrifying. It wasn't so goddamn terrifying.
I was like, where is this really going? I thought this would be the Ellie event right here, because researchers got the machine to run nearly 13 feet per second.
What?
13 feet per second. Now, if you're, I think the average male is like 5'9", 5'10". So let's give you a couple inches, maybe, and just make 6 foot, right? That's two of you plus another foot laid out head to toe. And it covers that level of ground in a second. And it learned how to do it by itself. And there's actually some great video of this thing running.
Yes, it's terrifying. Look at that.
Here's the more terrifying. Look at this, just kind of doesn't know where to stop. Like, whoa. Like, that's the problem when you don't give it a head with eyes.
Right.
It makes it more terrifying, to be honest with you. But this has all kinds of applications, right? Just not the fact that it runs that fast, but the idea that this could be used, I don't know, in law enforcement, military, border control, space exploration. Imagine one of these guys like running around the surface of Mars, or a whole squad of them. Like, all right, go cover some ground, guys. Sweet.
Yeah.
Fetching you, helping people walk, giving people another chance, like paraplegics. Look at, we're making robots. Oh, that guy's going, these are great videos. But yes, we are making robots. That's cool, right? In and of itself, making robots. We're also making robots that have taught themselves a different method to run, to make themselves faster.
Right. We also know that they will crush little kids' fingers.
Yes, another. It's 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, maybe I should back off. Maybe not, because it can only get worse, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about. We've never really talked about Hungary,
Right.
Right?
A country, but we talked about how hungry we are at the end of the show. Because when we end the show, we both go, all right, it's time to go eat. I'm fucking starving.
It's dinner time. Like I can smell the food being cooked right now. It's glorious. So we've never talked about the country Hungary and the very problematic president, more like dictator, because he's been in power for 11 years, and at the next election coming up probably will be elected again. Something very interesting happened over the weekend. A longstanding advisor to Viktor Orban resigned over what she described as a pure Nazi speech. And oh boy, why is the Guardian telling me I need to register to keep reading? I'm registered. Oh, here, never mind. I'll do it later. It just cuts you right through. In the speech, Orban said mixing between Europeans was acceptable, but Europeans mixing with non-Europeans created mixed race people. Now, here's the quote. We are willing to mix with one another, but we do not want to become a people of mixed race. He added that countries where this was seen as acceptable are no longer nations. He's tying national identity to having been born there. Something very similar to what Germany did and the run up to World War II. You weren't allowed to vote in Germany unless you were a third generation German.
Yeah, nationalism is the step right before fascism.
So this was Zaja Hagidis. I'm not sure where Hungary falls on the Slavic scale. That's pretty much all I know. But she resigned. Think about this. This dude just said that. And she's known him for 20-some years, and they were told to have been friendly. But 20 years in a political career, being right next to somebody, is a long-ass time. You were a deep confidant, right? He said this, And she's like, all right, that's it. I can't be part of this. I have to make it known that I can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
I want to contrast that with some of the people on January 6th who were party and privy to some probably horrific things being said and sat on it for a year and a half. Advisors, chiefs of staff, former retired generals who were supposed to be there to kind of keep Trump in line, right? Stood around for a handful of years while some awful things happened and then cashed out at the end. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how you honorably, dutifully execute your morals and beliefs in a political spectrum. You resign publicly and denounce. Interesting to note.
I mean, that is the way to do it.
Interesting to note, Ben, that the same Viktor Orban was invited to be the keynote speaker at the CPAC convention. Oh, very interesting that you have this guy who's not quite a dictator yet.
But he's pretty close.
Pretty close. Allowed to speak at basically headline the largest non-Republican convention, the Conservative Political Action Conference, the United States' most prominent conservative gathering in Budapest, of all places, Hungary, had Viktor Orban speak. That's just nuts because his comments were familiar. He took a swipe at George Soros, which he accused, of course, being the money Jew behind the downfall of humanity and all these nation states and their national identities. Probably had some wonderful things to say about immigration and mixed race, which but the idea that like this was their
quote right there. Look at that. Progressive liberals, neo-Marxists, dazed by the woke dream, people financed by George Soros and promoters of open societies want to annihilate the Western way of life that you and us love so much. We must coordinate the movement of our troops as we face a big test. 2024 will be a decisive year, he said.
What troops?
But just that first part. Yeah, what troops and what do you mean? But like annihilating the Western way of life, I mean, yeah, because the Western way of life was, very white and very chauvinistic. And we're moving to, yes, an open society where we understand that we're all human beings first, right? That is the one thing that we all share in common, is that we are the same species. That's what's important. It's not important what piece of land you were born on because your parents happened to live on that piece of land when you were born. That somehow makes you a certain something, or makes you above or below or greater than or less than based on your geographic location. It's never made any sense to me. The idea of immigration being illegal has never made logical sense to me, because we're all just human beings and this is all just pieces of earth. Like
dirt.
Borders are man-made. They're arbitrary. Why are you putting your whole belief system, basing it on cheering on the piece of land that you were just by lottery born on?
I was going to say lucky or unlucky enough to have been born onto.
That's it. And because you are unlucky enough to be born on a shithole piece of earth, and you decide I want to go to a different piece of earth, you have to go through the proper channel. The proper channels, I just have to get my ass to a different piece of earth.
Just walk.
That's the only channel. I should just have to physically get myself somewhere else.
I just walked.
That's all I should have to do.
1,700 miles through jungles and alligator-infested rivers. Those are my channels. That's how badly I wanted to get out of where I was to get to where you are.
I gotta sit in a line and go to an office and fucking fill out paperwork and wait for someone to tell me that I'm okay enough to fucking become a citizen of another piece of fucking earth. It's fucking ridiculous.
And our immigration system's so archaic. They're probably using carbon paper like in the office too.
It's overwhelming. It's not meant to be able to handle the amount of people that want to come here. It's purposefully not meant to be able to handle it. They don't want people coming here now, right? This country was built on immigrants, but there is a large contingent of people that are like, we don't want any more. We have enough immigrants. This is our shit now.
No,
it's great.
I just want to loop in one last thing about Hungary, because I guess I was a little hungry for knowledge. But like, it was also really curious when Tucker Carlson spent a whole week broadcasting his show.
We talked about this back then too.
Right. You start to see some of these little connections that maybe aren't so little, because you're just sitting there going, I don't believe this. But literally, by the invite of the president of Hungary himself, the leading political voice in America. I mean, Republican-wise, but I think Tucker Carlson has the highest ratings of anybody. I don't think anybody touches him, right?
Unfortunately, I don't know.
I would take a guess,
but it would seem I wouldn't dispute it,
especially on cable. Like, I can't see like Rachel Maddow like beating him. Like, I just So here's the largest political voice in America getting really friendly with and quite frankly learning from a democracy headed well towards fascism and an authoritarian state at an alarming rate. And it was really interesting to note the consolidation of some things. And you might think like, oh, well, that'll never happen here, Brooks. But the pro-government Central European Press and Media Foundation, this is in Hungary, comprises of 450 TV and radio stations, online news portals, daily regional newspapers. They have all been lavishly praising Carlson, described as the most influential conservative thinker in the United States. A star status previously allotted to only Trump campaign manager Steve Bannon or Trump himself. This is what Tucker Carlson said about American political elite. The American political elite has become too mediocre and stupid to face the truth. The elite has turned against its own people, and that's not healthy. Simply put, the leadership of the country hates the American people. In contrast, he praised Mr. Orban. Quote, he is defending democracy against an unaccountable billionaire, the non-governmental organizations, and certain Western governments. He is fighting for democracy against those forces which would like to bury
it. I mean, Tucker Carlson, if you listen to him for 40 seconds, you'll understand that he is a white nationalist through and through, or at least he plays one on TV. Because from what we understand, he's really fairly liberal. We've talked about that before, that he's been a source for newspaper reporters for many years, and there are people in the press that have said for a long time that the shit that you see on Fox News of him is pretty much an act. It's those of you that grew up and were sports fans in the Chicago area, he's the Mike North of politics, where he's just a blowhard that says things purposefully to get you to call in and yell at him about how wrong he is.
Send your facts.
Exactly. He's just the type of guy that just says the things that fringe groups are attracted to, because they gain members, and they bring more people in to the fold through social media, because they're sharing it on social media, and then it's
yes.
But the white nationalism is out of control with him, man. It's obvious. There's you can't even say dog whistles. They're just straight up whistles.
Yes.
White nationalism.
All the code words, every hot button topic issue that could be triggering or inspiring to them, or people that think that way. Yeah, he's easily and freely dropping on his airways. there is a lightning round coming, but I wanted to. I've got two quick things, and I wanted to. I do the palate cleansers. Well, that second one might not be a palate cleanser, but deal with this. We'd like to talk about things. Put your finger in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You might see things like this.
Oh shit! See, that's what I'm saying, man. Deep water of the ocean, there is some fucking nightmare fuel floating around down there. There is. Look at this thing. Imagine you ran into that, just chilling.
And that thing's bioluminescent, right? That thing is producing its own light through chemicals, just the same way a lightning bug does, just underwater. Now, before you get to the next video, don't, because I do want to issue a little bit of a warning for this. It is, I'm not even really sure why I'm showing it, but I just want to kind of convey it's a brutal hippo attack. I don't know if you know how dangerous a hippopotamus is.
They are extremely dangerous. They're frighteningly dangerous. Like, it's like no joke. Like, people joke about it, but no joke. Adult hippopotamus are fucking awful, terrible, dangerous animals.
And I wanted to kind of show, just to highlight, because I know you can, look at pictures of videos of that Fiona, the hippo from the Cincinnati Zoo, and you're like, oh, how cute, how cute. I just want to show you just how brutal.
You are torturing Gigi with this, by the way.
I know I am. I just want to show how brutal a hippo attack can be.
Oh!
That is all! Don't! No! Oh! Oh no! Look out!
There might not be anything cuter than a baby hippo. Look at that goddamn thing. I wish if they didn't get any bigger than that, I said no to no more animals in my house, but I would strongly reconsider if there was just a baby hippo that didn't get any bigger than that. I might consider bringing a baby hippo.
But that thing's.
I think I just heard my wife squeal downstairs in excitement.
This thing is just practicing to snap that person's femur in half. I just want to point out, it's cute as fuck. I can't deny that. I'm just saying what it's really practicing.
In about a year and a half, it's gonna fucking tear that woman's leg.
Yeah, they're not gonna be sitting in the pool with the critter anymore, right? It's gonna be like, yeah, they're in their own enclosure now. We just gotta walk out there with a bucket of fish and move back quickly. I just wanted to do that just because, I thought it was a little bit of fun in games. But let's not dilly-dally. Crack a pow! It's time for the lightning round! Ladies and gentlemen, the #1 segment on the #1 podcast that my father still has not listened to, even though now I'm streaming on my Facebook page. So Dan got no excuse to call in. We'll set up the Dan Brooks hotline.
Yes.
Shit. Anytime Dan wants in, he's in. But if you're new to the show, ladies and gentlemen, this is where democracy blooms on the show. The lightning round is where 3 stories enter the Thunderdome. 1 story gets read, and that is chosen by the good people of the Thunderdome. I point the wrong way. I got to get a little sign, but every time. Look at there. Well, Dan is here for the lightning round. Okay, so I guess all right. We'll count a vote in semi-absentee for my dad because we'll have Aunt Chris convey his vote.
Jordan in the house as always. So yes, our parents are well represented.
Just think about it. Our mom and dad are watching, right, folks. No more dilly dally. Let's get right to it with headline #1. Hi, Dad. This grandma's dying wish was a giant dick on her grave.
Yeah.
Headline #2. Man who hasn't stopped farting for 5 years sued food stall for $200,000 over a ham roll.
That is a long headline. It starts good and then it starts trailing off a bit, but it's pretty strong.
Headline #3. Polish museum asks visitors to stop having sex on its premises. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you're contabulating your votes right there, thinking about the stories, kicking it around, what should I vote for? Let me go through those headlines one more time. Headline #1. This grandma's dying wish was a giant dick on her grave. Headline number 2, man who hasn't stopped farting for 5 years is sued a restaurant, I guess a food stall, food truck, a restaurant, for $200,000 over a ham roll. And headline number 3, Polish museum asks visitors to stop having sex on its premises.
Yeah, I'll never be able to unhear ham roll.
Ham
I
roll.
agree. Ham
Ham
roll.
roll.
This is actually a pretty good lightning round because the last few weeks we've had like pretty obvious winners.
Slam dunk, right?
Yeah, there's always been a slam dunk. This is actually, I would be surprised if there's one that sticks out among people.
Right.
Biz with the first vote in with number 3.
Votes are
Mahouse says number 1 says go with the dick. Yes, which would definitely be the show name if we did that. Right. Dicks for Gam Gam. Oh wait, that's Ma Jordan. Hold on. Ryan Hansen. Dicks for Gam Gam, Hamza Gas, and Polish Sexhibit.
With the remix. Thank you, Ryan Hansen. Just again, one more time for those still on the fence, maybe.
2 votes for number 1, 1 vote for number 3 at this point. Yep. Courtney has not given us her actual vote.
Dan's voting number 2. He wants to hear about the farting. This is
Adrian just texted me. She's watching on the TV. She's voting for number 3 as well. Ryan Hansen is going with number 1. See, you did good this week. It's all over the place.
Right, it is a close vote. The leaders are literally separated by 1 vote.
Usually Billy Wack will pop up out of nowhere. Maybe he's not able to tune in this evening. Aunt Chris going with number 3 as well.
All right, we are.
And Cordy coming in with number 1. So it looks like number 1 might be with this. And that puts it at a tie.
No, that breaks the tie. So as long as everybody there, did we get everybody? Did Biz vote? Did we get a vote from?
Yes, Biz was the first vote in.
Was okay.
Usually Billy Mack is around, but it doesn't seem like he's around at the moment. All the usual suspects have put in their votes.
All right, we do actually have a winner.
All right,
he probably is. He's going for that gout. That number 1 headline is your winner today.
By the way, going for that gout would definitely be the show
right there. Just put it up there and he'll be like, son of a bitch. Anyway, folks, you voted. We listened. Headline number 1 is your winner. Let's hear about this grandma and her dying wish to have a giant dick on her grave. Mexico City. Before her death, 99-year-old Caterina Orduña Perez had one final wish, a giant statue of a dick on top of her grave. Her family unveiled the completed monument, a 5.5-foot tall cock and balls, weighing nearly 600 pounds. And Ben, I'm working on sending you the link right now.
I was going to say, is there a picture of this?
Oh, Nelly is there. There is a real flesh-colored. Yeah. Weighing nearly 600 pounds, mounted on her tomb at the cemetery in Mexico this past weekend as a, quote, recognition of her love and joy for life. She wanted to break the paradigm of everything Mexican, where things are sometimes hidden because not having an open mind, her grandson said. She was always very avant-garde, very forward-thinking about things. Yeah. Dona Cata, who is lovingly known throughout the small town of Misalana in the eastern state of Veracruz, had a particular affinity for penises and what she believed those represented. She always said in the Mexican sense that they were vergas, which I'm not sure what that means. There are a few words in Mexican slang as dynamic as verga, which is perhaps best translated in English as cock, due to its general use as profanity. Depending on how it's phrased, verga can be a brutal insult, telling someone to go fuck themselves, vete a la verga, well, I'm using that tomorrow, or that they're not worth shit, vales verga, or it could be a compliment, a badge of honor, if that is verga or looks cool or badass. Dona Cata often used it with the sort of colloquial pride when referring to the members of her family as vergas, according to her grandson, that they were people of moral fortitude with integrity, courage, passion, and at the same time, love and joy. But the great-grandmother had grown up in poverty and not attended school as a child, but through her hard work and determination, she became an influential member of the town. Politicians often made a point to visit and court her, knowing her clout that she yielded in the area. Donakata.
Marjorie's inspired.
Oh, really? Am I fired?
No, she's been inspired.
Oh, this is that's a big that kind of sets expectations a little bit.
Right. So apparently she wants a giant dick on her gravestone.
I mean, I'm sure that's a hand carved an artisan penis, perhaps.
Oh man, yes, a donation box in case people want to pose for photos. That's great.
For real, right? Oh, now monetize the dick. They actually have a
monetize the dick would be the show name.
But yeah, check that out right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Not really. Well, too late, Ma. Guess what?
Yep, it's in the works right now. We're selecting the marble. We're already looking into marble, how much it costs. It's going to be beautiful, though, Jordan. It's going to be a wonderful piece of very a lovely memorial, very artistic. We promise. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode in the books here. I think 82. We're coming up on episode 83, which if you listen to Sports Talk Radio here in Chicago, you know the famous 83, which is a really, really bad inside joke, which nobody gets. I don't even think, Ben, you haven't lived here long enough, or I haven't been. Yep. It's bad. It's bad. I shouldn't do it. So I'll just let you all know that we really appreciate you listening. You are the wind behind our sails, and that sail belongs to the ship of the USS Rapapa, which we are broadcasting from here. And Ben, I saw you sign a pretty exclusive and lucrative deal.
Yeah, we're part of Wrestling Mecca Radio now, and the Nameless Retro Wrestling Show is the first one. This week we're reviewing Bash at the Beach 1994. That, of course, is Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan's in-ring debut in WCW. So we'll be breaking that down this week on Thursday. Join us if you're a wrestling fan.
Thanks for joining